Life often consists of entirely ordinary moments. We go to work, study for tests, shop for groceries, show up for our friends. What if these ordinary spaces are the very places where connections flourish and the kingdom of God is on display? On this season of Amidst the Ordinary, we are going to dive into the idea of community and connection, going deep into some key community principles as we hear stories from people living them out in their everyday moments all around the world. We hope these stories and our conversations around them help each of us live more connected lives amidst the ordinary. To start off the season, we want to introduce our panel, the group of people who will be driving this conversation. In this episode, you'll get a chance to meet them, hear a bit of their stories, and we'll be giving insights into the rest of the season and overall just starting a journey together. So, let's get started.
Hi, my name is Paloma, and I'm from Virginia, and I am most looking forward to just being inspired by the stories of community that we hear and figuring out how to implement that in my current community.
My name is Ewout. I'm from the Netherlands, moved to the US 2 years ago. Kind of had to find a new community, but I'm also just really excited about hearing stories, getting inspired. I think community is such a powerful thing for people. And healing even. So when a community comes together really powerfully, it can just transform so much.
My name is Darian, and I'm from Texas. And I'm really looking forward to just learning more about community as well, because we don't realize that we establish community everywhere we go. Similar to how I have my community at home. Then I went to university, I had that community. Then I lived in Georgia, I had this community.
Yeah.
So we get to establish a new community everywhere we go. So I'm really looking forward to learning new skills and different things, how we can effectively establish a community.
My name's Alyssa. I'm from Tennessee. Something I'm really excited about is I just moved back to Tennessee and I'm in a new city. And so I'm excited to hear just some really practical things of how other people have made friends and made connections in new places, or maybe the same places that they've been for a really long time, because we were never designed to do life alone, and right now it feels like I'm doing life alone in a lot of ways. And so I'm excited to have some other voices speak into where I'm at right now. So when you think about this overarching theme of community and connections and connecting, what sort of things come to mind? Just how would you articulate what community has meant to you, what it's looked like in your life?
That's a good question. The first word that comes to mind for me is safety. So a community that works well is a safe space where I can both excel, and that's great, but I can also fail, and then we learn together. So I like what you just said about it's the opposite of being alone. Safety is the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah. Place where I'm known.
Yeah.
I think about kind of back to my college experience and having that walkable community and really doing life with people. I think that's what I think of when I think of community, because we would eat meals together, we would go to the gym together, we would go to class, do homework, hang out in each other's rooms. And I think just doing life together really brings you so much closer together with people, and you're able to bounce ideas off each other and just talk through things. And like you said, I really don't think we were ever created to do life alone.
Yeah. And I completely agree as well. Another sense of community would be a small group or something like that at your church or your university, if you have one at university as well. It's just an opportunity for you to get a deeper communication and connection with a group or individuals, and just to grow together, doing life together. Yeah. You have those individuals that could speak over your life and different things like that. They can be there for you when you need someone, and you can be there when they need someone. And that's just the full meaning of a genuine community, to me at least.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I don't know if I would say wrestling with or just thinking a lot about, being in a place where I feel like I don't have a genuine community kind of like that. I don't have a small group yet. I haven't found a church. I haven't found my group of people. But the other day I took my little brother to soccer practice for the first time. And so I was sitting next to this lady that I'll probably never talk to again. She probably has kids way older than my little brother. I'll probably never see her again. But we were cracking jokes or whatever. And we just said hello. And it was just a moment where I was I haven't really connected with anybody in a minute. I work from home and I haven't had like a conversation with a stranger in a minute.
Yeah.
So that was cool just to see like little moments of connection. Like, okay, like, I don't know, like there's so much more to offer than like just my small group. Like my small group is gonna be so good when I find it.
Yeah.
But also that little moment of us like just laughing together and like being like, yeah, I felt really seen because I love being thought of as a comedian. So I was like, and so it was just cool to be like, okay, it was just this little moment.
Yeah.
So I guess that's something I've been thinking about along the lines of community recently.
I was thinking of the word powerful because a community is complementary. We all have different gifts, and doing things on your own is just so limited, right?
Yeah.
Certain things I can do, and there's tons of things I can't. And you really start to support each other. And you just said like a small group in church. We make even God so much more visible together than on your own. So it's a very powerful thing. I think a community that works really well is very attractive for other people.
Yeah.
Thinking of the words when Jesus says, people will know you're my followers by how you love each other, right? That's a powerful community that's attractive, radiant. Yeah.
What have been some of your hindrances or maybe preconceptions or that you've had when you've like tried to like build or find or invest in a community?
I think for me personally, I also work from home as the majority of us here. I feel like that's the more difficult part because when you work from home and you're in your house all day and like everything that you need is in your house, why would you necessarily have to leave and go and find that community? But I told myself that like, I know that I needed that community. I needed someone else to do life with or individuals to do life with. And that's why I got plugged in at a local church on their small group and things like that. And then also just going out for like hikes and different things like that. You get to meet a lot of new and interesting people when you just do things. I guess it's essentially you'll be doing it alone for the first time, but you'll eventually meet those people in that community that you can just continue to do it and do it with as well.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's one of my hindrances is that first step of doing it alone the first time. Like building a community starts with you.
Yeah.
Being willing to step into a new space most of the time. Like no one's gonna step into your house and be like, let's be friends. If they did, I don't think I'd want to be their friend. And so I think that's one of the biggest things is not expecting community to come and find me on my couch, but being willing to be uncomfortable and to maybe start that conversation or crack the joke with the person next to me. Because that's daunting.
I feel like on the opposite end, I recently read Jenny Allen's book. I forget what it's called, but it's all about community and friends. And I read it and I was so amped up about it. I was like, yeah, like I'm going to build like more genuine community and do life with the people around me. And I just assumed that the people that I was friends with wanted that as well. And so I started stepping into that, and we had to have some uncomfortable conversations because that wasn't what they were necessarily looking for, or they weren't aware that that's what I was trying to do. And so I think for me, I've had to work on kind of managing my expectations and having conversations. We recently had a conversation with our small group, asking them, okay, what are you looking for in this community? Here's what we're looking for in this community. How can we take steps to all be on the same page and to pursue that together? And so I think managing expectations is a big part too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's something vulnerable about it that is maybe beautiful, but also really hard. Like cracking a joke. Hey, what if they don't laugh? So we just moved to the US, and we and then within the US recently moved within this town, and it's really hard to get to know the neighbors over here. Oh wow! I don't know. It's all fine, kind of like when you meet people in the supermarket, quick chat, and hello, good to see you. You should definitely come over, but it doesn't happen. And so then you feel like, do they even want it? So in a new place, I suppose all these other people already have community, and they're not waiting for me to join or something, but I need it, and I think we have something to offer to each other. But yeah, I think the beginning has something where you have to kind of get through some awkwardness, and that doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
Then you feel a little bit unwanted. But I guess it's not true, but that's, I don't know. I wrestle with that.
Yeah, but your community doesn't know that they might need you. They might need what you have to offer, but they don't know you yet. Yeah, so it's not that they don't want you, they just don't know that they want you.
What we did recently, we bought chickens. Well, because they'll lay eggs, and everybody wants friends' eggs.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm going to offer them to my neighbors for that reason.
Yeah.
So we can connect, and we actually have something to offer, which they want.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe the chickens will do the job. Yeah.
Okay, where have you felt most at home, most connected, and why? It's a big question.
It's a big one.
I think for me, there have been some people in my church that have really pressed in. I think they have a similar view and desire of community as I do. And so really being intentional and wanting to grab dinner and making that a priority. And with that, we've really all grown really close together and developed deep, vulnerable friendships. But I think that us all wanting the same thing was really helpful in that, which I feel like is kind of rare sometimes.
Yeah.
So my wife and I, we're actually, some of our stories are going to be used, but yeah, the stories we share about a community in Delft, in the Netherlands, is where, especially in the early years when we were really kind of like to breach into the community with a group of people, that felt really, it was fun. And there was something challenging it, because we were all trying, but it was together that we're trying something. So it was with a community that we tried to get into the community. And for some reason, we were a group of people that were really open with each other in what worked with for us and what not worked. So it just felt like a really safe place, and it was fun because it was kind of like together. Stuff that none of us would have ever done on our own together was kind of okay. So that made it was a real adventure for us. And man, crazy stuff happened, but also really beautiful stuff. And like what I said earlier, we noticed that was actually really attractive to other people. We're like, oh, something's happening there. Something's moving. That group of people is changing something. I'd like to be part of that. So yeah, and it fits my character. I love the pioneering. So that was a community that I've absolutely loved being part of. Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's been, off the top of my head right now, there's been two pretty good communities that I've really enjoyed. One was when I was here in Georgia for the little time that I was here, just getting plugged in with the individuals, whether that I work with or in the community around. Yes, Alyssa. And then like in the church and everything like that I was attending while I was here as well. Or I could think about when I was at university, how I wasn't plugged in with like different outreaches and things like that.
Yeah.
And you get to go out each week and you get to go with the same team. You guys get to go do whatever you guys were called to do. Yes. And you just go like, one of my outreaches, we led worship for a shelter and things like that. And then we led worship, and then we would also like, once they're eating after the worship and the word for the night, we would go and just talk to them and discuss with them how they've been doing, how their life is going, things like that. Precious. So I really appreciate those different communities that I've been in, and I've seen the value add that it has given to my life.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. I feel like you were doing that in community with like your group that you had the same week, and then you were also like impacting your wider community by meeting with other individuals. So I think that's really cool. It's almost like community.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. With me, I also think of when I moved to Georgia, because I moved to Georgia straight out of college, straight out of COVID. So it was still 2020. So I was like, I'm moving. There's no way I'm going to find connections when the world is still sort of on lockdown. Like things were opening up. People were starting to like reopen churches and meet in person again. But it was definitely, no one knew how to navigate this. And so when I moved, I was like, this is going to be an interesting experience. And it was so cool how the Lord really showed up, and he gave me just a few people. I had 2 roommates and a neighbor, and before we knew it, we are like siblings essentially. Like I would call Landon my brother. And so yeah, it's just interesting how that was the one moment when I really didn't think I was going to find my people. Right. And now it's been 4 years, and I would still consider them my people. And so that's been very different than my most recent move back to Tennessee. It's been more work, which is interesting, but I think I felt most at home when it was just a small little community of 3 people in the middle of a lockdown. So
Yeah. I'm wondering if community is either needed more right now just because of we've had that pandemic behind us, or that have we unlearned certain things? I'm not sure, but does it need an extra emphasis? But both of you said like working from home, you kind of like get used to being on your own. So has the pandemic helped us? Well, not helped us, but made us feel more too comfortable on our own, maybe.
yeah, I think in other ways it exposed us to a real need. Like maybe I took my communities for granted.
Yes.
Like because I was in college, especially right before that, and community is like so accessible. It's literally everywhere. You walk to class, you are immersed in community whether you want it or not. And then you're sort of left entirely alone with COVID, and so I think in some ways we grew comfortable, and in other ways we were like, actually I'm very uncomfortable.
Yes.
So it is interesting.
Yeah, and I know like another way that I've been able to find community with working from home and different things like that, because I've been in my apartment for a year and maybe a month or so now, and I'll be honest, I have not interacted with some of my neighbors who live directly next door to me. Yeah. But it's also nice because like we're like a pretty decent sized community, but we have these different like workout classes. Like we do yoga from time to time and stuff like that are accessible and available to everyone in the community.
Nice.
I feel like doing that, you get to go and you get to see the same people that come every week and every other week and different things like that. So then you get to put a face to a name, and then you get familiar with one another. So that's what I've really been appreciating from being in my community where I live at now in my apartment. Just having those different classes working out. And then our office building also does different events like art stuff and things like that.
Well,
we
fun.
can come together and we get to do different things as a community as a whole to establish a community base in our community.
Yeah, and that's cool because you're also doing something together. Which makes it a little less awkward than just, hi, I'm Darian. Nice to meet you.
Exactly.
Doing things is massive together. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to read the themes over the next 8 episodes. And then I just want to hear, which one, when I read them, are you most excited about, maybe most curious about?
Yep.
And we'll just kind of talk about what sticks out to you. So we've got curiosity, listening with your ears and your life. We've got presence, taking notice and taking part. Food, come to the table and pull up an extra chair. Time, living at an unhurried pace. Togetherness, being with instead of doing for. Wholly antisocial, healthy boundaries for healthy connections. Rhythms of grace, implementing sustainable practices, and then one conversation all about community impact.
I think I'm most excited about the food one because my husband and I have been almost like bi-monthly. We have like this giant group chat and we just have a dinner party, and it's like a potluck. So especially like Thanksgiving was super easy. Everyone just brought, like, we made a Google form. But it's so fun just to have people from different aspects of our community come together and just all be in our house. It's the best. I'm super excited to learn more about that because that's something that I really already enjoy and I really want to get better at it.
Yeah.
I think the one that stood out for me was probably presence. And then I'm reading this subtitle, taking notice and taking part. I feel like that one could be very important because like, it's also like, you can be in an environment with someone, but like, how are you being in that environment when you're there? So like being present and being engaging with the different people in the community that are present in that room or in that environment as well. So I'm very interested to hear that one and just dive a little deeper into that as well.
I'm interested about the time one because that's actually a massive choice in your life to live unhurried because all the other voices are just like whip on us, and to go against that is pretty countercultural because so often I do not have time to be present or even share a meal or even be curious because I'm so preoccupied. So I want to learn from the time one. Yeah.
I think I'm most excited for the Holy Antisocial one. One, because that title, I was so intrigued. I was like, what does that mean? Is that even true? Is that actually something that we want to do? Is being antisocial, is there a way in which it can be holy? And so I was, one, just very intrigued. And then two, I think for me, I maybe kind of like Darian in this way, I'm okay being alone. I'm fully content being at home, cooking dinner, turning on some music, lighting a candle, I've got a whole vibe going. But then I sometimes feel really guilty about that. I'm okay, I needed that moment to rest and recharge. But then, maybe I didn't go to dinner with somebody else, and I could have, And so what does it look like to set healthy boundaries and know that taking time to rest and recharge has value, and so does carving out time to also have dinner with others and also be doing and being with others. And so I think that that's something a balance that I'm learning, and I'm excited to kind of dive more into how other people are managing that.
I love what you're saying because I'm an extrovert, so I've heard a lot of people say, of course community works for you because you're an extrovert. And I don't believe that is true. Community is not just for extroverts. You just need to find your role in a group. So I like what you said, that maybe feeling guilty about it. I can see that. But that's it's just not how it works.
And then even the presence piece, I show up better in my community when I haven't stretched myself too thin.
Exactly.
But sometimes we don't feel free to do that. So, well, before we hear a little teaser from one of the episodes, do we have any closing remarks? Any other thoughts about community rising to the surface? Any other stories you're thinking about?
I'm just curious to get into these stories with each other, honestly.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I remember the one night I visited a friend, and all of a sudden, so what happens in the Middle East, things happen spontaneously, so you need to be ready for anything. We went to visit this couple. They were from the US, and as we were hanging out with them, the night was sort of drawing to a close for us, and we were thinking, okay, shortly we would leave. What then happened was an Arab friend comes in, and he actually called him texted him to say, hey, I'm in the area, we want to go out for dinner. And often what would happen is the men would go separately to the women. We toning it down, we're getting ready to go home, getting ready for bed. But this is the time when life starts in Bahrain. So he texts him to say, hey, we want to go for dinner with the guys. He then says to me, listen, you have to come with us. This is my first experience. So I've never been with the local guys before. I really wanted to experience this. So I said, listen, I'm in. We jump into the cars, we all going. We were about 8 guys. We were 3 that were sort of expats, 2 Americans, myself, and then the rest of the guys were local. So we end up going to this restaurant, and at this restaurant, there's only men. There are no women. So that alone is like, okay, this is different. We go inside, there's 2 options. You can either sit in what is like normal with a table and chairs, or you can sit on the floor. I think they were being kind to our knees, so they put us at a table with chairs. We get there, they'll take plastic, they put it over the table. They ordered something. Now, a lot of this is happening in Arabic at this time. I mean, I didn't even have any Arabic knowledge. So for me, it was really just, okay, going with the flow. As we seated, there's some Arabic, talking going on, obviously because they know that, some of the other guys actually were learning Arabic already. For me, it was strange, so there was some English then for my sake. As the food came, now, the food comes on this big silver platter. For all 8 of us, it is a huge platter filled with rice and more rice and this shoulder cut of meat. Now, when you look at it, it is gigantic, but it is big enough to feed 8 people. As it comes, they put it down on the table. In the middle, you don't get a plate. You don't get a fork, you don't get a spoon, you don't get anything. You have to dig in with your hands. So here goes. Chris is part of the crew. Chris is part of the gang. You know, I'm not going to look out because I want to enjoy what they're enjoying. I'm open to this. Remember, I'm on an adventure. So I put my hand in. The shoulder, the meat is hot. The rest of the guys are eating as if there's like nothing wrong with the temperature, but my hands are burning. And I'm thinking, oh my word. But now I'm with guys, right? So you don't want to show anybody that you're in pain. So I grab my first piece of meat, and how I eat with my hands, because I knew that this would happen at some point. So I prepared myself, but I would eat out of my 4 fingers and use my thumb to push the food into my mouth. So that looks a little bit more, okay. But in Bahrain, how the local men eat, they take the rice, they make it a ball in the palm of their hands, and they eat and then push that into their mouths. So they'll basically take for their food and cup it in their hands and push that into their mouth. So it's like a whole... It looks, in all honesty, the word that I used when I came back home, I said, Judes, I think this looks so barbaric, but I got used to it. But it was such an experience.
All over the table.
Literally, because you're not eating with any, like we're eating from the center, you're grabbing, you're eating, it's falling, it's messy. I knew they'd eat with their hands, but how they do it was just really caught me off guard. But yeah, it was amazing. Now I eat the same way, so no judgment from me.
We're so excited to be starting this 10-episode journey together. We hope this episode gave you a taste of what is to come. In our next episode, we'll be diving into what it means to listen well, listening with your whole life. But at the end of the day, these episodes are just the beginning. Make sure to go deeper by signing up for our free 10-day devotional linked in the podcast notes or on our website, scatterglobal.com.
Music for this podcast was provided by Zach Winters from his new album, Shade of Indigo, which you can stream everywhere. You can find more about Zach and his music and poetry at zachwinters.com. This podcast was produced by Pete Hicks and the Mycelium Collective in partnership with Scatter Global. Concept and design for this podcast by Peter Jan Rodenberg, Alyssa Valentine, Kristen Boyd, Ewout van Oosten, and Pete Hicks, and recording engineering help from Doug Domick.